So the Ronald McDonald House, what was the circuitous path to get there? For many reasons, Alisa and I are both on the board, and so we get to work with you, and that is fun.
Fundraising is, I always say it's a love-hate relationship. I think
Totally.
you either love it or you don't. Absolutely. And that's where Hall of Fame is going to really, we're going to take this event to the next level.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Bench to Bold. I am Marnie.
And I'm Alisa.
And we're super excited because we have not only a great guest, but also a great friend of ours. So please welcome Denise Cubbedge, the CEO of the Ronald McDonald House of Charlotte.
Thanks.
Hey,
I'm so happy to be here with
We're
you
so
guys.
happy to have you.
How much fun is this?
Oh my gosh.
Thank you. What an honor to be here with you both. Really is.
Well, it's our honor as well.
I've been looking
Yes.
forward to this ever since we put it on the books. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for joining us. And we're just super excited to dig right in and find out, all right, Denise, nonprofit, like what brought you to the nonprofit world?
That's a good question. I started a nonprofit not long after I graduated college in 1991, which has been a long time ago.
It's not that long.
But for me, when I was, trying to get out and find my feet in the real world, there was just something missing for me. In college, there's so many things that take up, your time and activities. So I started volunteering. So I first started with the American Red Cross was my first experience with a nonprofit. I started volunteering, and the next thing you know, my husband and I ended up moving to a town where there was a bigger chapter, and it was an opportunity for me to take my first paid job. I started teaching CPR and first aid, and then I was volunteering on fundraising committees for events. And so they had a job opportunity to begin in special event fundraising, which is kind of the most difficult part of the fundraising world. But it was great. I was young. It was a great way to kind of dig my teeth in and get started. And I knew immediately that nonprofit was going to be my life's work. There's just something very different about the experience of what you get from the work that you do. So there was
People that you meet.
the people you meet, and it's just it brings so many elements together. And I always felt like my role as a fundraiser was I get to take people who really want to make a difference and connect them to a mission that's meaningful work. And it was like, man, this is the best job.
Now, okay, so growing up, did you have any exposure to charity or philanthropy or anything like that you kind of could remember having fun experiences doing that and making a difference?
I have to attribute a lot of things to my mom. And when I was thinking about this whole philosophy of bench to bold, I feel like she was the ultimate bench to bold. She was a nurse, but she was also a high school dropout. And she dropped out of high school and got married early and had me and my brother and my sister. And then after we were all born and I was in the first grade, she went back to school and she finished her high school diploma. And then she went into nursing school and did that with 3 young kids, which I can't even imagine how she did that. But she kind of set a course because she was a nurse. There's just a different type of humanity that comes with being a nurse, and she was in a nursing home. So that's, a very different type of nursing and caring. And so I feel like that was always a part of my upbringing, right? Is, being around people, just humanity, general humanity, and how important it is to care for others. So I feel like that was always, a part of my life growing up, and then high school, you get involved in different organizations. I was in like Civinettes, a junior Civitan, which is, all about giving back. So I feel like there were always these pieces of philanthropy and service to others that was sown through my whole life.
That's amazing. So I think also that once people they might not know that you can actually earn a living and it's a real business working in a nonprofit. And so it's great. I think that people that actually want to be able to support themselves and also make a difference. All right. So the Ronald McDonald House, what was the circuitous path to get there?
Wow. The Ronald McDonald House is a dream come true. I just have to say that it is a dream job. It's a dream organization. So 7 years ago, I was at a point in my career where I was trying to look at what's next for me, right? I think as a working mom, sometimes there are times in your career where you kind of have to idle a little bit because your personal life is taking some priority and you're trying to manage a lot of things with younger kids. And so I kind of found myself at a place where I kind of wanted to pump the gas a little bit more and looking at where do I want to be. And as you emerge and develop in your career, I feel like you can have a little bit more, you know, you can be a little more selective in kind of how plot that course. I'd never worked for a children's charity before, and even though I'd had, 24 years at that point in nonprofit. So, and looking at a children's charity, I mean, there's none better than the Ronald McDonald House. So I had a friend who was working alongside the Ronald McDonald House at that time and helping them to create some positions and begin to plan some growth opportunities. And so she told me about the opportunity and I interviewed. And so that's almost 7 years ago now. And it's been the best decision I've ever made in my career. And I have no regrets. It's an incredible opportunity and privilege to serve this organization every day.
Yeah, well, I agree that the Ronald McDonald House is an incredible charity, obviously, for many reasons. Alisa and I are both on the board, and so we get to work with you, and that is fun. And so love that. It's really, truly, I've served on boards, and I would say that working with you as our CEO of the house is a dream come true for a board member because you put so much into it. You're an incredible,
Thank you.
incredible business person because it's a business. At the end of the day, you got to improve the bottom line and keep the house running and all those things, but also bring the empathy and the fun. So I know that the people that work with you as your staff at the house love it. And as a board member, I love it too. All right. So I want to get into your family stuff, but first we want to talk about fundraising. And that was your first thing that you ever really did.
Yes.
So let's talk about fundraising and big events and how, you decide what events you want to have at the house and what events are coming up, like Jerseys and Jewels.
Right. And so fundraising is, I always say it's a love-hate relationship. I think
Totally.
you either love it or you don't. I think it can be intimidating, but when you really think about it, if we're doing a great job, it's all about building relationships with people and getting them excited and connected to the work that you're doing. And I think people are always afraid of asking for money, but really the ask is such a small part of what makes successful fundraising, whether it's I'm asking you as an individual, whether we're asking a company or, it's that it's all about how you curate a plan and how you develop relationships so that when you come to the point where you're asking somebody to join you and be a part of this mission and have some incredible impact, it's so natural and organic. And that's where I try to really think about where we put our focus. An event specifically, which is a lot of fun, that's very forward facing. And, events, of course, we're looking at, raising money, and it is a business model you talked about. We do have to look at opportunities for raising money that makes sense. That's a good return on investment. And in special events, they're just always going to be some takeaways that are intangible, right? It's not always money, but sometimes events it's a front door for people who have never heard about your organization. They get that opportunity to, to come and experience. And then to me, sometimes that's a launching point for what might be, a long-term relationship and a donor that may show up in some other ways, in the future. But we do, right? We want it to be fun. I mean, that's what fundraising is all about. We want it to be fun. And for, when I look at the path of my career, when I look, especially in the Charlotte market, you've got a lot of competition for attention and for people to attend because, I think time is for somebody to give you time and prioritize you as an event they want to go to. You've got to really think about that guest experience. I mean, you want it to be unique and you don't want it to feel stale. And when you look at an event that might be 3 to 4 hours where somebody's spending their time, you got to think about, are they just sitting in a ballroom or how are we going to make this a dynamic experience? How are we going to make sure to create those mission moments? And we want somebody, if they're going to come to an event in Charlotte, like they're only going to go to 3 a year. We want to be in that 3, right, Marnie?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I mean, we're certainly, well, we have to be,
top.
we have to
We
be
have
in
to
that
be the
three.
top. Yeah, we
Yeah.
want to be the
We
top
want to be,
first.
we
Yeah,
want
wanna
to,
be
yeah, we want to be
first.
number one.
We wanna be number
And yeah, absolutely.
And I do think that, it's interesting because people do have an opportunity to choose what charitable endeavors they want to be connected with.
Right.
And so when I think about the Ronald McDonald House, it really does, at least when I talk about it to people, it kind of solves a lot of needs for people that want to be involved. They can see where the money's going. They know they're helping children. They get to be part of something where there's actually a real place that people are working and kids are staying and families are staying. But why don't you just tell our audience a little bit about what the Ronald McDonald House really is? Because some people don't even know.
Right. Well, and I feel like a lot of people say, oh, I know the Ronald McDonald House and they love what we do, but it's always kind of peeling a little bit back to really understand what it means, what our families are experiencing. So, in essence, I mean, we're working to provide essential services to families whose children are receiving, health care in Charlotte area and helping them to, how do we remove barriers? How do we strengthen the supports around them so that they can really focus on the care of their children, right? And so, of course, our cornerstone is the house. We call it the house that love built. And it is a home away from home for families who have, our average stay is about 25 nights right now. So you can just imagine if, you get a phone call or a diagnosis or a piece of news that is really going to change your life, forever. And those families are oftentimes, they have to come to a place they don't know. They have to, they don't have their typical support system around them. And, we want to make sure that we can wrap all those things around it. Somebody doesn't have to worry about where am I going to sleep tonight? Or how can I make sure I'm going to be present for my child, for doctor rounds or for feedings or for all those things, and oftentimes there's not a space to stay. If kids are in the NICU or they're, so we're that place, right across the street and families can come. There's no limit to how long they can stay in the house. And there's some things that feel a little bit like a hotel, but our volunteers and our spaces and the services we provide, the hot meals every night and volunteers who are there just to sit and listen and the camaraderie that is developed between families, right? If I have a sick child and you have a sick child, there's just something that unites these families and those experiences that you can't get anywhere else, So we're able to do that in a way that really is caring and how do we anticipate what these families need? Because we just want them to be their best selves when they're at the hospitals. They're making critical decisions. And, you can't do that if you're hungry, if you're tired, if you're stressed and all those other things. So how are we taking care of those families and keeping them together? Siblings, parents, we've got, we want the whole family to stay close and intact. And so that is super important. And we've been able to kind of take that model as well. We have a couple of offsite, programs. We're in Hemby Children's Hospital with Ronald McDonald Family Room. We have hospitality parts and Levine and Hemby and Jeff Gordon Children's Center. Because some parents, even just going down the hall is too far away, but they still need some care and comfort and some self-care. And we call it the house on wheels. So we're able to take that and meet families where they are. So there's probably more than you wanted to say.
No,
It's so hard to describe, but it's
well,
just,
I think that sometimes people are unfamiliar with the house. They might know McDonald's, they might know certain things. All right. So how do we get our Jerseys and Jewels to be the number one event? Tell everybody what they can expect at Jerseys and Jewels and what they're going to be missing out if they don't join us at Jerseys and
coming
Jewels.
up.
It's
October
coming up
18th.
October the 18th. So,
You know it.
well, I just have to brag because Marnie was a brainchild behind this event. And I can
All
remember
of us were.
we sat in the dining room, 6 years ago now, and just talked about how we wanted to have an experience and come up with an event that felt more connected to our mission, who we were, even though we're about families in crisis, but we're about kids and we're about, we wanted to have something that really resonated with our mission. And so this was a dream, right? And then COVID happened.
Yeah.
And that really was an opportunity to take a really bold move to say, we're going to break up with the traditional gala and we're going to develop something new. What if we had this, huddle for the house? Like, what if we did the ultimate tailgate experience and, connect that to our roots with how, the Ronald McDonald House was even born between the Philadelphia Eagles and McDonald's and the Children's Hospital in Philadelphia. So there was, this coming together in a way to connect to our roots. And so there we were in a basement, Marty. Remember the first one? We did virtual. We were in a basement.
Yeah.
And we had house parties, people doing
it was fun,
mosing
actually.
all around. But then it really has just, accelerated over the last few years. The first time we did this in public, as an in-person event, we did it at Bank of America Stadium for a few years. So I guess going back to what we really want to or for people to understand is like, this is just not a boring event. This really is a dynamic. It's energetic. There are experiences, that folks have when they come to the event. And it is that energy and that environment of like, I'm at a tailgate and I'm excited. And, you're pulling for your teams. Of course, the ultimate team is the Ronald McDonald House. So there are some of the traditional elements, right? Because this night is about raising money. And so you've got, live auction, silent auction. We've got corporate sponsor opportunities. I don't know when this is going to drop, but reach out and, individuals who can attend. And then we do a mission moment where we're able to really, to share a big story with our guests, and they get an opportunity to participate. So we do have those traditional fundraising parts of the event, which are super important. And the team has really worked hard to develop and design an experience where it's fun. And, you might do karaoke at one of our events. I mean, you might line dance, you might, so I think,
Well, this one, I think they can pretend they're
this
big race car
one,
drivers
yes, in
at the
particular.
NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And my test run was not very good.
You
I
did
was
great.
No, I was terrible. But I can't even believe how, they're really athletes. Race car
So-
drivers are athletes.
Absolutely. And the NASCAR Hall of Fame is going to we're going to take this event to the next level because we have the entire museum that night. So every, exhibit, every, interactive experience is open and available to us. So we're going to have some fun creating a little bit of competition between our guests and the driving experience and the pit crew experience. We're going to have a moonshine bar. If you don't know, that's how NASCAR was even, started.
Yes.
Moonshine runs through our state here. And it's, so I think that it's going to be the event that people are going to talk about
For years to come.
until
Next year. And then they'll
And
talk.
then- and then they'll
All right.
talk
So
about-
Denise, we're winding down your legacy and a minute or so, which I know your legacy is longer than a minute, but in a minute, tell us about your legacy.
Oh my gosh.
Please.
I think this might be the question I wasn't prepared for. I want my legacy to be like that. I have something on my wall that says, if you want to do big things, you got to do big things. So, I want to be somebody who has made a difference, right? That we can look at, this is where we started and this is where we are. And I don't want it to be that it's me, but I want it to be that I inspired others to dream bigger. I inspired others to do more. As a lifelong, nonprofit person, I know how important it is for people like you to get involved because we can't succeed without that. And when I'm speaking to a group, I always say, if it's Ronald McDonald House, if it's something else, but find something that you really care about and make a difference.
Or that you're
in that.
passionate about.
Yeah, that you're passionate about and make a difference there because our society solves so many problems through philanthropy and charity. And we need to keep those things going. So I hope my legacy is that I've helped to inspire others because that's the only way that we can have success is to grow other people and to bring people along, with you, and that it's so much bigger than me. It's so much bigger than any one of us. We can bring all the collective parts together and collaborate. That we try to do our best and be the best for the families that we serve.
Well, you're definitely doing that, and you're fun. The thing is, Denise is so fun to be around. It's just
We
fun.
travel. We've had some times, right?
You're fun to be around.
Oh,
you know,
thank
you have a very serious job, and you really do it elegantly. But you're also light and breezy and fun.
Nicole.
And I think that that is a beautiful mix of somebody who really is an incredible bench to bold person that you can combine those qualities. So thank you, Denise. Thank you, Denise, for joining us.
And before we go, can we just tell the audience how they can contact you?
Yes.
Jersey and Joel.
Absolutely.
To buy tickets, sponsorships.
Absolutely.
Buy a table.
Oh, if you're interested in attending the Jerseys and Jewels events coming up on October the 18th, you can find everything you need at our website, which is rmhclt.org. That's rmhclt.org. You'll see it headlined on our page. You can find out how to attend, how to be a sponsor. You can even participate and just be a part of the auction. You don't even have to come to the event, and you can still give. You can still bid on auction items. So so that's the best way. Thanks for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can reach out to us too.
Yes. And also reach out to Marnie and I via our social media pages as well. I'm at ashikalisa@gmail.com.
Marnie Schneider 1 at Instagram. So, yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, Alisa, for joining us. Everybody out there, don't forget to follow us at Bench to Bold.